righty. Good morning. Good morning. How are you doing, Dr. Pinkston?
Great. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. And to
Good.
our wonderful listeners that are on here wanting to enjoy this candid career conversation, today we're going to be talking about what does your image say about you? First impressions, appearance, and reputation speaks volumes. And a lot of times we just want to go through, especially some of the younger generation. They tend to say, you just have to like me, you have to accept me for who I am. But do people really accept you for who you are? And I would like to dive into that with you, I'm sorry, Pinkston. If you could go ahead and tell them a little bit about you. That name, I don't know why it's so hard. It's so easy. Could you go ahead and tell them a little bit about yourself and what you do and where you're located and how they can find you?
Absolutely. And you're lucky I don't use my old married name, Abdulbaki. So that
Oh
would
my
really put you.
God. Oh my God. I would really tear that up.
That's my maiden name,
Okay.
Pinkston. So, yeah, I am Dr. Marianne Pinkston. I am in San Antonio, Texas, and I am traditionally a family practice doctor, but I have about almost 20 years now of integrative and functional medicine training, which is kind of a specialized form of medicine, a little holistic combined with contemporary. People are searching more and more for personalized medicine that does that for you. But I also have a podcast that I do. I've been doing for about 2 years now. So I left it on the screen there for people to see. drpbetterlife.com, and that has all my information where you can find me if anybody wants to do that. I would love it. But yeah, I have been in medicine for now 26 years and in my professional career, and so got a lot of thoughts to say about how that has built up over time. And I think you're right about the younger generation. It's just like, we are who we are. You have to accept me as I am. But, people don't know you. Who are you as you are? And
Yes.
sometimes I can be a little, confrontational with people. You do have to build relationships. People do have to learn how to trust you. And you do have to build that over time before people really, before you get a reputation. You don't want to start out with a bad rap, and you want to go into it fresh and build that over time.
And that's what's so important, that's just like anything. Anything that you do, people see you from the outside, but they don't really get to know you. And it's so important that you really get to know the person, and you should want them to get to know you, the better side of you, because really what you let people see is not really you.
Right.
I mean, wouldn't you say that when you first meet someone, do
Right.
you really know the person? Or do
Absolutely.
you know what you think they look like?
Absolutely. And it's interesting because if you look back over time, where, when I first started in the business, I was, I've never worn a white coat in
Hmm.
office. Patients are always imagining you go to the doctor and they're in scrubs or a white coat, and I've never done that. I've always been a little a-traditional in that fact. So I just tried to dress as professional as possible to kind of convey that over time as I built a good reputation. Whatnot. I gained up to 300 pounds at one point, was very, very heavy, very sick. And then after I was able to, lose all that weight and kind of well established, I kind of turned and decided to be just me. And that's where then, kind of, got the long hair, no white coat, kind of dress a little differently, long nails and whatnot. And I just am, ready to be me, but I've got a long history built behind me, that has allowed me to just kind of be who I am. And I think sometimes people will look at that from the outside and judge a little bit. But then when they come into the room and sit with me and I start talking about, medicine and what I know, it's kind of like, oh, okay. You hit them with your smarts. I think it was Melanie Griffith that said that in Working Girl,
Yes, yes, yes.
hit
I
them with
think
your smarts. So
I think for me, you mentioned weight.
yeah,
I remember when I gained weight
right.
and in my professional career, and this is no slight to anyone.
No,
So
of course not.
please don't take this in a negative coming from me, because it's not. It's literally coming from a very good place because I was that person.
Right.
I had gained so much weight and I didn't realize it. Just the stress and the pressures of everyday life, work, balancing marriage, motherhood. It was just a lot. And one day I looked up and I was like, who am I?
Right.
But the thing that was so shocking to me, and even though you heard people say they see you different when you look a certain way or you carry yourself a certain way, when I lost that weight, it was it was almost like a switch went off and I became acceptable.
Right.
Uh,
Freedom. It's a freedom.
yes, yes. And it was so unusual for me because it was almost scary because people started to see me and treat me differently when I was still the same person, I thought. Um, but people really, really treat you differently when you have weight on.
Yes.
At least I can speak for myself.
Yes. No,
Did
you
you
are
experience that?
absolutely correct. And so, and especially now that the weight is off and all, I get approached very, very differently from men and women. And
Yes.
it is an interesting experiment in the human nature. So,
It's almost like it's okay now. I can talk to you, and I'm like I'm still that same person.
yeah,
Nothing changed about my brain. Nothing changed about my heart.
sure.
Maybe my confidence has went back up,
Very
but
much
definitely people see you differently. So if we're talking about image
right.
and how people view us, what can we say to the young professional along that line that is struggling with that? Would you share anything from a medical or from a professional standpoint?
I would. And I saw something, kind of a funny meme on Facebook that,
Hmm.
in talking with either my children or other kids in the office or whatnot, there's a change with social media and our cell phones and our mobile phones and our ability to take photos and
Hmm.
whatnot. And there is a meme that was on the other day that showed a picture of, this was my grandma, and it shows a young black and white photo, a young woman, very pristine look, very hair
Hmm.
perfect and everything. And then that was in 1940. And then now there was a picture from 2015 that says, this is a photo of my grandma, and it's a picture of a young girl barely dressed, turned with a camera looking, taking a photo of herself in the mirror with half of her rear end hanging out, and a sexy pose and everything. And I look at that as kind of an example of the difference in our frame of mind, that you have to be careful about what you do and what you put out there,
Yes.
because people are going to come back and see that. I mean, that is out there forever. Once you post that photo, send it to somebody else or whatnot, it is out there and there is no going back. And, people with jobs, will go back and do internet searches on you now and see if
Yes.
they can find material. And
And it's so funny you say that because there was a young lady I'll never forget that definitely qualified for the job.
mhm,
But however, I looked at her social media. It was open to the public.
yep,
And full transparency, there was some things on there that really make you want to question how is that going to line up with my brand?
right.
And whether you are a good or bad person, it's definitely something. That's why these companies are really looking, because you have professional interviewers out there. You
Yes.
can go in and you can interview very, very well, but companies are now they're digging in a little deeper, because if it's something out there that you've either said or you've done that is going to
Right.
affect their brand,
Yes.
I'm sorry, they're just not going to
Definitely
take
who
that
you
risk.
are, right?
Yeah, you're not going to take that risk on you. So, if we can give anything to the younger generations about the social media, or
Sure.
what would you say to them outside of taking pictures?
Exactly. Well, just be cautious in what you say, because it may not be who you are, but it will represent you, and it will stay with you. And it could be funny. There's a lot of ways to be funny. And yes, social media is yours. You should be able to be yourself and speak as if you're in the room with a room full of other ladies, other men or women or whatnot, girls or guys, and you should be able to do those things. But in actuality, those things are going to be out there, and they may be misconstrued. It may not really say who you are or what you are all about, but it definitely can be taken a different way, or it can represent you differently. And you just have to know that not everybody's going to agree with you. Not everybody's going to feel the way that you feel. And again, they're looking out for their brand and their, and if you're working for, Google or Rackspace, or I don't know, I shouldn't say Rackspace. I don't know anything about Rackspace.
Yeah.
But if you're working for somebody
Yes.
a little looser about their look, and everything, then, maybe that's okay. But you may be trying to aspire really, really high, and they are going to look at that and hold that against you, whether you were 20 when you do it, and then now you're 50, they're going to look backwards on that. It's out there.
It's just and again, what we're trying to say to those that are listening or may get clips of this later, we're not trying to judge you. What we're trying to say to you, we're literally trying to help you, because the person that you are, let me just speak for myself. I love to put myself there. The person that I was in my 20s is definitely not the person that I was in my 30s. The person that I was in my 30s is definitely not the person that I was in my 40s.
Sure.
The person that I was in my 50s, I'm right there at 60. I'm so different.
Right.
And so you can't do and make such permanent.
Right.
That's the word. Your appearance, your words, how you carry yourself. It's going to be permanently etched to your reputation down the road. So
Absolutely.
if you are taking pictures, if you're doing things, everything is not made to be put out there.
Right. And so back when we were younger,
Yes.
we none of us are perfect. I
Right.
am not.
I did everything too.
Oh, yeah. And there are moments where, we have lapsed in our judgment and
Yes.
some things. And maybe it was something we were going through at the time and whatnot. So we have all done that. The only problem is back when we were doing it, we didn't have social media and photographs and whatnot to prove it. So now now it's permanent. And
That's one of the things, and I talk to some of our generation, because we can be a little hard on the younger generation, and I think it's all in our delivery. It's not what you say; it's how you say it. It's nothing wrong with them.
I have something I want to add. If that's okay, Ms.
Yes, yes, you can. Go ahead. Abigail always wants to jump in.
I have to.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, kind of what you're talking about is media literacy, which I think my generation, I'm 24 for reference, like I didn't really get to learn that. It was all being created as I was growing up. My parents didn't even realize the effect of these posts. And I do some work in schools for another job that I have. And you know how they used to do drug week, where every day you wear a spirit thing for drug week? Well, they don't do that anymore. They do media literacy week now.
Oh, wow.
And they have a day for bullying, telling the truth online.
Oh.
And I was like, that's actually really cool and super necessary for the newer generation.
Yes, because it's so, we didn't have to deal with that. What we dealt with was in your face bullying.
Right.
What we dealt with was, we didn't have access to all of this internet stuff. And so that's why some of our generation gets a little overwhelmed with it. At the same time, I do think that you guys, and that's why I always say we have to have a conversation. I think your generation has to be open to listening to something outside of themselves. Wouldn't you agree, Dr. Pinkston?
And part of it too is when you look at now the boomer generation that's at the top, and then the generations below, the thinking is very, very different. And what bothers the older generation, I don't mean old, but the older
Yes.
generation may not, about posting and about what was said or photos or whatnot, may not bother the younger generation later. They may not see that as, something that's inappropriate or might affect
Right.
or whatnot. In fact, they may see it as an advantage. It may lift their brand. So, as we old folks die out and have our
Yes.
go with us or whatnot,
Yes.
that may change. Media literacy may mean something different, to us now, that in the next 20 years may not mean mean the same thing. And so I know those are developing things, and she's right. These are things that developed as she was growing up, and what didn't understand what the effects would be, later with it as it's developing. So there's a lot of different ways of looking at it, but all in all, you just want to represent yourself as an ethical person who is they don't know your heart and inside. They can't hear what you're thinking and know what you do on a day-to-day basis to be kind and good in your world. All they know is what they see and hear, and that,
Correct.
whether they have an altered judgment that isn't correct, just based on their age and history and where they've been or whatnot, you're going to be judged. And that is something that can never be changed. That just can't be changed.
Well, and I do think that it's important that you're saying that things are going to change. Maybe it won't be something 20 years from now about the pictures and how they're using social media, but you're going to have to wash the old eggs out. Because you're still having to interview with them now, and they're still caught up on the much more structured. And it's not saying that their business is going to go by the wayside, but they figured out what makes money for them and how they want their brand to look, which means that it's going to be very important if you want to fit in to that world to be able to represent yourself in a respectful way.
So true. And on a different note too, I was at a meeting not too long ago where we talked about all of this exactly, and just the difference in generations. And one of the things that they brought up about the younger ages is that they kind of want Casual Friday to be every day, that they kind of want to do away with the business casual, the business dress and things like that. I mean, there's just a whole different frame of mind that is developing on what a business mind and business look is. And so, we're just going to have to watch. It's going to be fun to kind of watch and see.
And here's the thing. I do agree with a business casual, but here's the mindset of a business casual. Everyone's business casual is different.
Absolutely.
When I say a business casual, that does not mean that you come in here with ripped jeans.
Right.
If I say business casual, it doesn't mean that you look like you're running out to go to the grocery store.
Right.
And so I think that that's a very fine line. And when you have to get into, okay, make sure you have on khaki pants, make sure you have on navy slacks and a button down shirt, I think it becomes a bit much. So that's why people, I would say, professional, please dress professional. And again, that still is one's opinion. So you almost have to, I don't know.
Define it. You have to, in school, they have to have a dress code, and everybody it's the dress code because they feel like they should be able to dress this way or that way. But I tell you about dressing down, I think lowers it's like having a drink. It lowers your inhibitions.
Yes.
So when you're dressed more professionally, you tend to act more professionally. When you dress down, you tend to act down to whatever it is that that you're dressing. And so I think that is why you want to keep an atmosphere like that. You don't have to wear a suit, a coat and tie every day or, anything like that. But as you dress down, it tends to make things more casual, let the atmosphere more casual when that's not exactly what you desire.
100% agree with you because, again, dressing down or dress in a certain way that is non-professional or not, how can I say this? When you dress a certain way, it also commands our respect or commands a disrespect. So if if I have you here closing a deal for me,
Mhm.
and I'm expecting you to close the deal and you look like you just rolled out of bed, nobody's going to want to do business with you, period. I mean, it's that simple. If I'm coming to your practice, Dr. Pinkston, and I'm needing to get care, I'm for the
Right.
first time. If I walk into your office, it's in disarray.
Right.
Your office, you're looking like you just rolled out. You have a scrunchie on the back of your head,
Right.
and full transparency.
Sure.
And you are talking about health, but you don't look healthy.
Sure.
I'm not coming back.
Right. Right.
I mean, it's just
It's true. You were absolutely right. And back when when I did weigh 300 pounds or around that area, I had a med spa at that time. I talked a lot about weight loss and self-care and beauty and things like that. Not that I wasn't beautiful. People tell me all the time, you were beautiful when you weighed more and all. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
thank you. Yeah.
But when I realized what hit me is I was sitting in front of people 300 pounds telling them how to eat, how to do the process of weight loss and, feeling and looking like I did. I thought, that is not in alignment with
Right.
what I am trying to, not that there's anything, bad about it. What happened to me was like one day I woke up and there I was. It was all the stress. It was the
Yes.
having rheumatoid arthritis, taking a lot of steroids. I mean, there were a lot of things I could not
Yes.
control, but it was at the same time, I allowed that.
hmm
And so I needed to be able to align with what I'm trying to teach people and show people or my children,
Right.
I tell my children, you need to eat better than that. You can't go to McDonald's. You can't eat this way. You can't do this. You need to exercise. And here I am. And so it doesn't matter whether it's weight or, some other issue. I have to be in alignment with what I'm saying, what's coming out of my mouth.
Exactly. Exactly. And again, if you are wanting to nail, and I keep taking this back to your professional career, and you're trying to land this awesome job, you have to walk in it today
Yeah.
as if that
Always.
job is, you have to start
Right.
walking in it today. You have to be prepared. You have to be professional. You may not be there today. You may be working at McDonald's. There's nothing wrong with that. But your desire is to be the manager or one day own it,
Right.
a McDonald's. Then you
Right.
need to walk in it today. And I think, again, people sometimes don't understand the importance of image.
Right. It's an energy too, right?
Yes, it is.
Image is an energy. It is what you are putting, showing people and putting out there in order for people to identify you as somebody who could be a leader, who could own, who could step to a higher level. Your energy shows. So if you come in not dressed professionally, don't speak professionally, and don't, convey yourself to be somebody who could be at that top level. You may not know what you need to know. You may not be educated there yet, but you have an energy and you have to show people that you are capable of reaching that level and that it should be put at that level. And your confidence behind that.
When you transitioned from 300 pounds, in that process, what was that like and how did you feel? And how did your colleagues deal with that or accept that?
You know what? It's kind of interesting. It really is. This could probably be an entire show in itself, honestly. There was a lot of places where people that I loved very much actually sabotaged the process a little bit.
I'm glad you said that. Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of places where that, because I'm trying not to self-sabotage and they are, landing me with sabotage. Difficult. But at the same time, too, there was a time where I then was accused of having changed. So
I did. But didn't you? I did.
I think what really happened more than change. Yes, there were a lot of things that do change because you're growing and
right. Exactly.
But I think what really happened was the real me was suppressed. And now the real me is able to, I feel freer, I feel better.
You can breathe. You literally, yes. You were literally probably, I'm going to speak for myself.
Depressed.
I felt depressed.
Yeah.
And I was Exactly. I was actually hiding
Hmm.
who I was hiding that person because I really didn't want to stand out because I saw what was going on with my body. I just wanted to maintain. And
Absolutely.
so you understand. So I
Yeah,
don't think you
absolutely.
change. I think the person is still there. I think you just evolved.
Yeah, evolved, but I was repressed. I was not able to fully feel who I am, and
Hmm.
because I know I didn't look the way I wanted to look, and it's not about looking good. It has nothing to do about that. It's just knowing that you are the best person that you can be, and feeling like you're not who you're supposed to be, and all of those all that happiness and joy about yourself is just repressed. So whenever you do go there, and it's a long process. It took me years to lose the weight and change my body back and get
Hmm.
back. But during all of that, it was a wonderful process of learning and growing again, but also bringing out the old me that I knew was the real me.
Hmm.
So then you get to this point and you're like celebrating. Everybody's like, well, you've changed. Oh, no, I didn't change. I'm just me now. This is who
No.
I feel
It,
comfortable being.
and it's so funny when I hear people say you've changed. I just have to because I've heard it a lot. I haven't changed. You haven't changed. You're just happy. You're just breathing. Now you're really, it's almost like you're feeling the kiss of life. You
Exactly.
know, every day you get up, it's like you've gotten a special kiss. For
Exactly.
me, it's
Right.
refreshing. It's like, okay, go get it.
Right.
I can do this. And before I was just getting up,
Yeah. Just going
just
through the motions.
just going through the motions.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to turn to Abigail and I'm going to ask Abigail, has there ever been a point in your life where I know you're 24 right now
Mhm.
and feeling insecure about anything or even in your professional career? Let's talk about that insecurity in the image. Is there anything that you would like to access or share with us?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, being that I'm kind of a part of that generation where they call it like quiet quitting, or
Yes.
where the
Oh, what is it called? I love
quiet quitting.
quiet. What does that mean?
So that basically means that like you kind of do your job bare minimum. You do what
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to do and you leave. You do
Mm.
nothing more, nothing less.
Okay.
And that's kind of your way of like sticking it to the man.
Oh,
But
okay.
people have this attitude, but then they want to be like, oh, well, why didn't I get a promotion? Why didn't I get a raise? Why don't I have the career, the life that I want?
Mm-hmm.
And I was kind of stuck in a rut of not really that mentality, but surrounding myself with that mentality.
I love that.
And I felt like out of place. Like I was like, this is not how I want to be,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it took me like I was making good money, but I hated what I was doing, where I was at, and like I didn't feel like I was like super fulfilled. And so I was like feeling insecure about my self-worth with that too.
Okay.
And then so I found the job with you,
Mm-hmm.
and you've helped me elevate professionally,
Oh,
and just like skills and stuff like that. And I'm a lot more confident here as well than I was, in a different job.
oh, I wouldn't expect her to say that, but that
That's
does
great.
make me feel good. That means that I am doing what I'm supposed to do here, and that's to pour back in. And I always say that you don't go through anything in life for you just to hold and come out of it just to hold on to it for yourself. You got to help somebody else out.
And I
Right.
like what
Pay
you
it
said.
forward.
Yes,
I like what you said earlier about change, but I actually think like we're supposed to change.
you have to.
Would you want to be with someone who never changed?
Oh God.
Like, would you want someone in your life who was the same way that they were the day you met them?
Oh my God. I mean, it's one thing to have the same, your character be
And
consistent
values,
in
yeah.
values. That's one thing. But if you're unwilling to grow, you're just like the carpet. If you just keep the same carpet for 20, 30 years in the house,
It's
on the
nasty.
floor, it's nasty. It starts to smell. It's just like, oh, I don't even want to go in that room. You get what I'm saying? Because there is nothing, and I know that may sound harsh, but that's how I view it. How do
Sure.
you feel it, Dr. Pinkston?
Oh, absolutely. I think evolving and growing is something that we all do, regardless if we want to or not. And there are people who are, I don't know. I look at the differences in my patients sometimes. And nothing against my patients. Everybody has a different level of I guess, mental capability about what they want. Depends on where they grew up and the circumstances that they were under. And so, you just want to help people, grow and change and do what's best for themselves. But sometimes people don't want that for themselves, and they're stuck in a rut, and you don't know why, they are there. Those are the people that kind of just, I look at some of the older generation, in fact, where, they've retired, and they maybe lost a spouse, and they don't get married again, and they don't get out much, and nothing changes. And they are just stuck in an old belief system. Whereas I'll look at somebody else who, maybe lost a spouse, but they're moving on with life and start to travel again and meet other people again, get married again, and, just try to make their life as full as possible. And I've never really understood if it's depression, if it was something that they were raised to just be more conservative about things, and they're just in there dying to get out, but don't, were raised not to do that. I don't know. I just find it interesting how we approach that type of growth very, very differently. And some are ready to just explode and live life, and some are just, stuck in their world and not wanting to improve or change.
But isn't that, to me, isn't that a person that is still, and I'm just speaking to it from my perspective. I think, wouldn't you think that has a lot to do with either someone being depressed or fearful of changing or coming out, because they're kind of sometimes maybe worried about what the other person is going to think if they fail at it. But you're already failing at it if you don't try.
Exactly right. And they don't see it that way. But I think fear is a tremendous factor. And I think some people are, maybe raised in a way where, they've lost their confidence, and maybe they went through some extraordinary traumas. Maybe they just had a very difficult life, and they just don't have that confidence, and definitely afraid to open up their world and push forward. It's something I don't understand, because I have lived my entire life reaching for the stars. I mean, I just wake up.
Oh my God.
What can I do different today? And people are like, I don't see how you do it. You add something on new to your new job to yourself every day. I'm like, yeah, we got to get there though. We got to go.
It's so funny. And I think that's why we connected so well. You would think that we've known, and Abigail and I talked about this the very first time that you were on. That's literally how I am. It's just, I'm like, okay, no, I'm not tired. No. Next, because I still have exactly. Let's go. There is so much more that I believe God has for me to do. And there's so much more I want to do. Right. And so tired, I'll always say there is a time when I'm going to rest. I'll rest completely. And that's when I close my eyes for the last time. And until then, I'm going to live life to its fullest.
Exactly. And don't doubt, I am exhausted. You better
believe yes.
But the spirit, the spirit is alive, and that is something not everybody has been granted. I often wonder about that, about how, how everybody's spirit is so different, where we have that within us to really grow and get out there. But anxiety, fear is really huge.
And I think too, and I have to go back to bringing this full circle back to our professional career. Right. As women, we have so many elements that we have to deal with as a woman, especially when you get to a certain level. Right. You're already 9 times out of 10, you are probably one or maybe another in the room where there are decisions being made. Right. And if you're that person, then most of the time they're calling on others to ask the question or to answer the question or to take the advice, unless they know that there's no one else there. You kind of almost have to make yourself known. Right. And that alone is something that rips at your confidence and your self-esteem. Absolutely. And so then you also start to question, well, am I being a good mate at home? Am I just all of those things that we put on ourselves that nobody else put on, we put it on ourselves. Oh, yes. And so then fear sets in. And so you just walk around fearful. Right. And I have to say, I truly love walking around uninhibited. I walk around I am who I am.
Right.
I take me. I try not to be a nasty person, but there are days that I just have a bad day,
Right.
and I check myself when that happens. But overall, I'm a very good person. And I
Absolutely.
just want to give that back out. And I think when you just get out of your headspace, you
Mhm.
get out of trying to be something that you think other people want, because really people are not that caught up on you. It's only
Absolutely.
for a moment. It's only for a moment when you're in their presence, then they're moving
Right.
on to
You
something
think that,
else.
right? Because you think they're, I don't know what, there's a term for it where we are making up in our mind what people are saying and thinking about us, like they are thinking about us all the time,
Oh God.
and it's like, they didn't think that, they didn't see that, they didn't believe that about you, and they've gone on and they haven't thought twice about it, but yet you're
You're
still,
still there.
we're still there stewing over
Get
it.
over yourself. Get
Exactly.
over yourself. It's
Absolutely.
not that serious. Get over yourself. Well, I'm actually shocked that, and I don't even want to comment. I don't know what's going on. It's weird. We don't have as many people online as we normally would. So maybe it's the
Day.
weather.
It's because
It's the
Day's missing.
Well, yeah, right, Day. No, I really do think maybe the weather. I don't know,
Yeah.
but I'm looking forward to at least getting the feedback on our YouTube and our Facebook, because I
Yeah.
really do think this is a conversation that is needed to be had. And so
Absolutely.
I'm really grateful that Abigail is doing all that she's doing to really push this career conversation, because it's really important for those that are getting out there trying to figure out what's their next move. Those that are trying to say, I'm tired of doing what I'm doing.
Right.
We are speaking to you, that person that's in this crossroad of trying to figure out what your next role is. I
Absolutely.
just say, go for it. What do you say? Don't be
Absolutely.
afraid.
No, don't be afraid. Absolutely. And it's easy to say that though.
It is.
To tell somebody not to be afraid. So what is it that makes me, I mean, there were plenty of moments back when I was younger where my confidence was next to nothing. And even now there are still moments where I doubt myself, or I doubt my abilities, or and I shouldn't, but I do. And I think that's a normal human reaction. I think what I do is kind of fake it till I make it. So I act
Well,
like I know what I'm saying and doing, and I just walk into a room and I'm like, okay, be brave. You've got to look, and this goes back to image. And so,
yes.
you've got to look like you know what you're doing, and how sound like you know what you're speaking about. But even if
But
you're
that's infectious. It draws people.
it
When
does.
you walk in, it draws people. When you walk into a room
Mhm,
and you own that room,
mhm.
people are drawn to you.
Absolutely.
And
Even if
so,
you don't really feel it strongly,
yes,
fearful, just
yes.
walk in and do that. That happened to me this weekend. We had a party that was a fundraiser, kind of a gala, and it was a Kentucky Derby, based gala. And so I have never worn a large hat in my life, and I put on the hat and I wore something that I usually wouldn't wear. But this was around a group of people that in San Antonio that I don't know. There's a lot of different social groups, and so I have
Yes.
my usual group. Well, I was invited by somebody into a little different group, and when I walked in, this is a very elite group of people, and like I say, very different side of it. I mean, I have
Hmm.
a elite group I hang out, but different sides. So I was like, I am an infant. I do not know any of these people. I do not know, and by myself. And so when I did, though, that fake it to make it girl came out, and it's like, I belong here. Hi, how are you? And
I got this.
right,
Yes.
not this. And that was just a transition in my own brain. It had
Yes.
nothing to do with anybody else in the room, how I was received, but you could tell people's, body language changed when my mind
Yes.
changed, that I was going to
Yes. Yes,
Actually, at
literally.
first they were like, who are you? Because I know they felt the energy off of me. I'm like, I'm only, but then all of a sudden I was like, I made a joke. A lady walked up behind me and she said, I need this to drink. And we were at the bar and she said, and put that on Carlos's tab. And she was still standing there. And so I ordered mine. And I said, and put that on Carlos's tab.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
looked over at me and I was like, I'm just kidding. Really. I just, the opportunity was so great. But it broke everybody down. And then after that, everybody was a lot more comfortable and they opened up but it's like, just be brave. Just show that even if you don't feel it, be brave, open up. And people opened up around me then. It was very
And I think I love that what you said. It was in your head, and it's usually in our heads. We're the only person that can stop us, and so I guess that's a great way to end this segment because the only person that can stop you is you. And you can stop you by not even getting started.
right.
So if I can say anything to someone that is listening or is going to listen at some point, is that do not allow yourself to stop you from getting to your greatness. When you walk in the room, even if you don't feel it,
Right.
talk yourself through it.
Yes.
And just know that you belong in the room. If you've been invited somewhere, you belong in that room.
Yes, you do.
And if you don't feel like you don't belong in that room, don't go to the room.
Right.
But
right.
really, if you walk in there,
yeah, if you don't feel like you must still go, get out there, do something different. That goes back to growing again.
well, when I'm talking about don't go in the room, if you know that room is an unhealthy room for you,
Of course. Oh my gosh.
do not go into that room.
Absolutely.
But doing something different, I agree with you 100%. Doing something different, don't be afraid to try something new.
Absolutely.
It's all about exposing yourself to something outside of the norm.
Right.
That's where growth comes from.
Absolutely.
Okay, Dr. Pinkston, I have really enjoyed this conversation. I don't know. I'm just really excited whenever I can get on with you, and you are truly a sister from another mother.
Thank you.
You really are. And I think what I love most about you, you're so transparent.
Oh, thank you.
You are. And anyone that is looking for a good doctor, an easy listener, someone that you can share with, I say check out Dr. Pinkston over in San Antonio. Just as transparent as she is on here. She has been on with me. I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful that she believes in my brand. She believes in me, and she's supportive to me. But please check her out. She is a woman that didn't just evolve. She's not someone that's just going to keep talking to you about getting healthy, being healthy. She's lived it herself. With that being said, Dr. Pinkston, what would you like to leave the people with?
Oh, thank you. That's so kind of you to say. I appreciate it. This has been absolutely wonderful. I've enjoyed it. You have given me a great opportunity, and I definitely appreciate it. You do have a wonderful brand. I've looked it over, and I've enjoyed this. You really have rolled out the red carpet for me. Thank you. And so, yes, absolutely. Anybody in San Antonio that wants to come visit, I do love my job very much, and I do work very hard to try to maintain what I think medicine is losing these days, and that is the human touch. But I also love the podcast a lot. If you're not in San Antonio, hit the podcast. I've got almost 100 shows now. I think we did hit 100. And I love it. So thank you.
Yes.
Different things, some local community stuff, but also it's a national thing and a lot of great topics. So drpbetterlife.com is where you can find anything. Blog, anything else, please go check that out. And thank you, Valerie, so very much. It's such a
until next time, we're coming back again. Hey guys, continue to check out Career Conversation. You can also check out our radio and podcasts on LV with Val. I know that Abigail is going to kill me because she said stay on one brand, but your girl Val is more than one brand. So check out LV with Val radio podcast and now a radio station. So hey, I'm so excited about what God is doing in this season. Until next time, bye-bye.